On April 20th in Karachi, something terrible happened. A healer, a young, promising doctor, was shot and killed. And his murder, well, it rips the cover off a much bigger crisis for Pakistan's medical community. Let's break down what happened that night.
It was supposed to be just a regular night. Dr. Sarang Mehman, who was only 37, and his wife, she's a doctor too, were just riding in a rickshaw. They had been visiting relatives, and now they were on their way back home. A totally normal end to a totally normal day. Or so they thought. But that feeling of normalcy, it was about to be shattered. As they were making their way down a major road, Shara-e-Faisal, their rickshaw was suddenly cut off. Out of nowhere, a car pulls up, armed men get out, and just like that, a routine trip home turns into an absolute nightmare.
Just look at this timeline. It shows you just how fast, how utterly brutal this all was. We're talking minutes here. The attackers targeted Dr. Mehman specifically, dragged him out of the rickshaw, and shot him right there in front of his wife. In what must have been an act of sheer desperation, she gets him into that very same rickshaw and rushes him to the hospital. But tragically, it was just too late.
He was shot 4 times. 4. And doctors later said that it was one single bullet to his chest that proved fatal. This wasn't random. It was targeted, it was efficient, and it was absolutely devastating. So who was this man beyond the horrifying headlines? Dr. Sarang Mehman wasn't just another victim. He was a deeply dedicated doctor, a real rising star in his field.
I mean, just listen to what his most recent employers, Liaquat College of Medicine and Darul Sehat Hospital, had to say. In the short time he was with them, he'd already made a huge impression. Known for his skill, sure, but also for his compassion. And that reputation, it wasn't an accident. It was built on years of hard work and excellence. At Indus Hospital, he wasn't just any resident. He became the chief resident. That's a huge deal. Then he takes his talents to Gwadar, where again, his leadership just shines through, and he's made faculty chair. You can see, for him, this was never just a job. It was a true calling.
The hospital where he did his training also mourned him, of course. But their statement, it points to something bigger, something much more disturbing. It's really a cry for help, highlighting just how vulnerable these people who dedicate their lives to saving us really are.
And just when you think this story can't get any more heartbreaking, it does. When you learn about his family's history, it's unbelievable. This was not the first time this kind of unimaginable tragedy had hit the Mehman family. Years before, they lost one of his brothers. He was so close to becoming a doctor himself, just like Sarang. He was in his final year of med school when he tragically drowned. Just gone. And then, in another almost unbelievable twist of fate, a second brother was also killed. He was shot, caught in the violent unrest that broke out in their hometown after the assassination of Benazir Bhutto. I mean, can you even imagine? The amount of loss this one family has had to endure is just staggering. Now, Dr. Mehman's murder didn't just happen in a vacuum. It sent shockwaves, absolute shockwaves, through the entire medical community. It wasn't just grief they felt. It was anger, and it was real palpable fear. This statement from the Pakistan Medical Association really says it all. They're not seeing this as some random act of violence. No, they see it as a side of a much bigger failure. The PMA's point is chilling. If a doctor can be murdered like this in a high-security red zone of the city, then who is actually safe? The answer is nobody. And the Young Doctors Association, they're echoing that same fear. They're pointing to this long, frustrating history of unsolved cases, of doctors being murdered with no one held accountable. With each new attack, the anxiety just grows and grows. It feels like another threat that will go unanswered, another sign that they're on their own. And that kind of fear, well, it has consequences. It sends a chill through the entire profession. So when you take a step back, the murder of Dr. Sarang Mehman forces all of us to face a really uncomfortable question. And it's a question that goes way beyond the city of Karachi. When the very people who dedicate their lives to healing us are themselves being targeted and killed, what does that say about the society we live in? Dr. Mehman's death is, of course, a devastating loss for his family. A son, a husband, a brilliant doctor, gone forever. But it's also a wake-up call. It's a stark reminder of the incredible risks that healthcare workers everywhere are facing. And it leaves us with one final haunting question. who was there to protect the protectors?